Am I the asshole for not allowing treats to be brought in by my ex-partner for our son unless there are treats for my daughter too? I feel like this is a juiced one. I feel like this one is pretty juiced. I imagine the comments are going to be a war zone. I, 34-year-old female, am a single mother to 2 children, 10-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy. They have different fathers, with my daughter being the child of my late husband who died when she was 2 years old. I fully admit that I was not ready for a new relationship when I met the father of my son, and it's what led to our relationship falling apart, though we tried to make it work. That might complicate things slightly. If he took on a parental role towards that kid, that will change things a bit. That would make it shitty. Hold up. My ex-partner, 37-year-old man, and I have been separated for 2 years. It was rough in the early days of our separation, but for the most part things are fine now, except for an issue I've had recently. Lately, every visit my ex-partner will bring our son treats. Be it a McDonald's Happy Meal, some crisps and juice, a pastry, basically anything junk food related as a treat, because I'm usually quite strict about the children getting those regularly. I have some thoughts. This wouldn't be an issue, except for the fact it's only our son who gets these treats, and my daughter has to see the man who is a major part of her life for so long all but ignore her now. This feels strangely like the guy's trying to put a wedge in. I get vibes of strategy. You, my child, get things that your mother won't let you have, but also probably upset the kid that isn't his. I've spoken to my ex-partner and made it clear that unless he brings treats for my daughter too, he can't bring any treats for our son into the house. So that's at the boundary of into the house. What he does when he takes him out is between them. But this isn't fair to do in front of her. I'd agree it isn't fair to do in front of her, especially considering, well, primarily, not especially, primarily, if he accepted, a fatherly role to that girl for some amount of time. Let's see if she mentions this. Did she describe that? Fine now, except for an issue. I'm not seeing anything about that. What he does when he takes him out is between them, but this isn't fair to do in front of her. I also made it clear I don't expect him to spend his own money on her, as at the end of the day, she isn't his child, but just to text me before he arrives to let me know what he's bringing so I can send him money to get her the same. She's not even asking him to get her daughter stuff with his own money. I really don't care that she'd think they're from him. I just hate her feeling ignored. If he refuses this, nah, straight, he's the asshole. If he refuses getting 2 of something that the mom pays for, so that if he wants to bring it into the house, he doesn't, with the mind of the daughter who looked up to him while they were in a relationship, he's the asshole. If she's 14, she's 10. She's 10 years old. He thinks I'm being ridiculous and should just buy her treats myself if I want to do that. That she isn't entitled to get the same things as our son. This would only hurt our son. She's not saying she's entitled to it. She's willing to pay for it. The mother's going to pay for it. You can, sure, not do that. But also, he's not entitled to bring whatever he wants into the woman's house. That is also an entitlement. If he says, I get to bring whatever I want into your house. No. Actually, you don't. Only her son. That isn't the point, and I feel like he's missing it. I don't think I'm in the wrong here. All he has to do is pretend to be the one giving it to her, and it feels cruel to me that he won't even go along with that. He doesn't even have to do that. He just has to not bring it into the house, right? Literally just don't either bring nothing or let the mom pay for a copy of whatever the kid gets because she's going to pay for it. Simple as. Maybe I'm too focused on my daughter to see the bigger picture and I'm being unreasonable. So, am I the asshole? I'm going to say, absolutely not. Considering all the details, she would pay for it. He's not entitled to bring whatever he wants into the house. The terms of being able to bring what he wants into the house is something where the mother would pay for that to be done. Hex says literally it's just being needlessly cruel to a child. Yeah. What is the point of not agreeing to those terms? What is the point of demanding that you be allowed to come into the house with a treat for one child but not the other? What possible reason is there if she's enabling him to bring something for both, or is simply saying, please have the treat outside if you're only going to have a treat for one? That's fine. It's her home as well. Yeah, simple as. It's small things like sweets or chocolate. It's not a special occasion. You're willing to pay for it. It's only about stuff that comes into your house, which is what she said. Not the asshole. Yeah, she said specifically, if you're going to bring something into the house, you get something for both the kids, and I'll pay for hers. That's fine. I know everyone will probably be all, he doesn't owe your daughter anything. Yeah, he doesn't. She's not actually saying he does. She's not actually saying he does. It's hyper-conditional. If he's going to bring something in, he has to bring something for the daughter too, and the mom will pay for it. She just doesn't want the daughter to have this guy who was part of her life for some amount of time, and who she presumably looked up to, come in with something for her brother but not her, because she thinks it's going to fuck with her. Go ahead and get your kid something and not the daughter, but just don't do it in the house, right? Simple. The mom also specifies down here, it's not for birthdays. On birthdays, the daughter understands, blah, blah, blah. I'm aware he owes her nothing at all, but he is the only thing close to a father figure. Father finger! Oh no! That's a horrible misspeak. Oh, he is the only thing close to a father figure she remembers, and he is now ignoring her. It's why I've asked that he just let me pay for it and hand it over so she thinks she's not being forgotten. Yeah, she has a duty to care for her daughter. And she's being reasonable in terms of it being conditional. Not the asshole. By any means. Comeback, I think, makes a very good point. Why is he seeing his and your son in your home? Your daughter shouldn't be exposed to this. I would say, yeah, ideally, she shouldn't even be involved. Ideally, she shouldn't be involved at all. Because even if he does bring her something, that's painful. Because he obviously has no intention of being part of her life. Yeah, honestly, this is the better solution. Easily. Anyway, what happened to me in Elden Ring that made me say father finger? Am I the asshole for demolishing our family home while my brothers were on vacation? With a title like that, I added it to the roster of what we would react to without even reading it. So who knows where this could go? Who knows? You ready? What could this possibly be about specifically? Let's find out. I'm not the type of person who'd ask strangers for advice. Debunked. Yes, you are. You just did. But I'm genuinely too embarrassed to tell my friends. The home being demolished is, like, secret? People don't know? What? I'm also terribly guilt-ridden and confused. 1 minute I think I'm fully in the right, and the next I think I'm being horrible. My parents died 4 months ago due to long-standing health issues and old age. My mother first, and then 3 weeks later my father. It's pretty common, right? When one of the old couple go, the other one loses their reason to stick around. That's a classic. My parents had 2 sons and 1 daughter. I'm 38. My brothers are 46 and 47. My brothers live at my parents' house. All their lives, our parents catered to them hand and foot. They fed their egos 3 meals a day. That's horrendous. This is the agonizing Reddit prose. Ooh, I'd get a red tick from my English teacher for that one. As they aged, it became harder and harder. Eventually, they were just worn out by my brothers. Throughout the last few years, my parents tried to set boundaries, but my brothers took it as a declaration of war. In the end, they pretty much lived in fear of my brothers. When my parents died, they left me the house and some money. I was truly surprised. I, like everyone else, assumed my brothers would get it all. They left a letter saying they greatly regretted having favored my brothers and for having to rely on me in their old age, and as compensation for having financially supported them the past 15 years, they left me the house and $525,000 of insurance payouts to be divided between the 3 of us. Okay. They acknowledged in the letter that they know the house and my $175,000 doesn't come close to financially compensating me. They hoped it at least helped. My plans are to use my share of the inheritance to fix up the house. Okay. I have a feeling The demolishing is not going to be a full demolishing. I asked them to move out several times and they Oh, sorry, I skipped. It's an old house and it needs considerable amount of work to bring it up to code. My brothers had no intentions in helping me with the house. They continued being lazy, arrogant, and entitled. I continued to pay all the utility bills and whatever else the house needed. I couldn't afford to keep paying. I asked them to move out several times and they flat out refused. So I just crushed them to death by collapsing the house over their heads. We went full Samson on them. No. My brothers also went through their inheritance like it was nothing. Okay, that's fine. I don't think that has any bearing on the rest. They're quickly running out of money. They bought cars, went to Vegas, and just spent like there was no tomorrow. I had enough of trying to be reasonable, and I demolished half of the house while they were on their cruise. For renovation purposes, was like, what? Demolished half of the house while they were on their cruise. My brothers went on a cruise last month, and during their time away, I packed all their things into 2 storage units, and I paid 6 months in advance for them. And then I just let the construction crew start working on the house. Right, you don't mean just arbitrarily demolished. It's your property, you can call the cops. I wonder if she tried to do that, would they get a claim on it as squatters? Probably wise to just do this. Straight up, wait for them to be gone, smash the house. It's hers. She asked them to leave multiple times, they refused, they had their warning. They chose to ignore it. My brothers returned to a construction site. They called and texted me a few hundred times, but I never picked up. Eventually, they got other family members to call me. Everyone is making me out to be a monster. Apparently, I'm a terrible sister, and that my parents would be disappointed in me for leaving my brothers homeless and living in a motel. I feel like I've done enough for them. I've supported them in some way or another my whole life. I tried to be reasonable, but they are unreasonable and insanely entitled. So, in this story, it's her house, right? These brothers would absolutely try to squat. You know, preface, what do I want to say? Not preface, caveat, whatever. Obviously, this is a made-up story. It's on Reddit. Ooh. And by ooh, I mean the OOOO chatter. She's a righteous asshole. No, I think on Reddit, on Am I the Asshole, in the context of Am I the Asshole, you have to also be in the wrong. I think you also have to be in the wrong for it to be fully asshole, right? In this context. It's harsh, but she warned them. I would be scared that they just try to invoke squatters' rights or something. If you didn't take the opportunity they were out to just start working on it. They were preventing her. Bear in mind, they were preventing her from renovating her house this whole time. The work being done is not like a prank. It's not just a, haha, I'm going to destroy the house so you can't stay there. It's finally they're out, I can do this work they've been blocking me from doing this whole time. I'm kind of disappointed. From the title, I expected something way spicier. She should fully destroy it. I want to search. So this was archived before it was judged. Let's see if anyone says you're the asshole. We have 4 matches for YTA. You're the asshole for not following the proper legal process and evicting them. They probably had tenancy rights due to having lived there so long, and if they lawyer up, you might be in trouble. No, if she did that, you know where she should post? Am I the cuckold? And yes, you are the cuckold if you let that happen, if you let that be pulled on you. Did you go through the legal process to evict your brothers? If not, I'm going with you're the asshole. Because you're not protecting yourself and assets from them suing you. Your brothers are clearly losers. That doesn't make her an asshole. That could make her unwise, potentially. I don't know about these laws. Could make her unwise. Sure. Does it make her the asshole? No. I want to take a quick peep at a subreddit that I saw existed on Twitter. We probably won't look in detail at anything, but I just want to see what kind of posts are there. My husband won't let me take more than 2 showers a week. I told him I need him to stop, or I'm moving out for a while. This is the weirdest thing my husband has ever done. He really is a sweet and loving husband, and I love him more than anything. Divorce is not an option, just to put that out there before the comments come in. Probably a wise move to include that, otherwise all your comments will be, get a divorce. My husband has always been a little out there. He is a computer programmer and super smart, but also believes all sorts of things, both real and conspiracy. Lately, he has been very worried about the environment and global warming. Global warming, of course, being real, but the environment is a fake simulacrum generated by the New World Order following the total destruction of Earth 200 years ago. It's a false Earth, but global warming is real. About 2 months ago, he got real worried about water. Yes, water. He is concerned about the quality of water. He put in a new filter system. Is this Alex Jones's new partner? Anyway. He put in a new filter system in our house, which I actually love because it tastes so much better. But he is also concerned about how much water we use. Not because of money, but the environment. He created a new rule that we can only take 2 showers a week. Now, I'm someone who likes to shower every day before bed. I just don't like feeling dirty in bed. This has created the most conflict in our marriage in 20 years. He is obsessed with the amount of water we use. At first, I ignored this rule, but he would shut off the hot water while I was in the shower. I started trying to use the shower at the gym, but it's too much work to go every night with having kids. I honestly thought he would get over this within a month. I'll give it a month. But he is stuck on this still to this day. Last night I really wanted a shower, but had hit my quota, as he says. He said I hit my quota and then made me let him inspect my toes. I said I'm showering and that he better not do anything, but about 2 minutes in, the hot water turned off. I grabbed my towel and went down and started yelling, telling him this is the dumbest thing he's ever done. I also told him I'm moving to my parents if he doesn't stop. Guys, I love this man. He is everything to me, but I can't take this anymore. Am I going too far and threatening to move out? No. Obviously not. You've hit your non-fallout quota. Duh. And does it affect the children? The first question asked. The first question asked is, how about the kids? How about the kids? Can they shower daily? No, but it's 2 boys. They wouldn't shower at all if I didn't force them to. It's child abuse. If you're having your kids filthy, if they are stankoid, 12 and 14. No. 12-year-old and 14-year-old showering 2 times a week? That is stank zone. Socially, that's going to be a huge issue. Although, given what's been told to us about the father, who knows? Although, also, she's going to leave. Wait, is she going to leave the kids with Dr. Stinkoid? Does her leaving involve... just... Damn. Most perceptive Redditor. This man seems mentally ill. Good job. How could you tell? Honey, in jail you only get to take 2 showers a week. Honey, you had a classmate that smelled like a homeless person. Ausrad's like, everyone at my school smelled like a homeless person. Everyone I met smelled like a homeless person. Even when they weren't around, I could still smell them. It was crazy. I am going to shrink. Am I the asshole for making the Age of Empires 2 New Villager sound when my wife gave birth to our first child? Dog. Literally just tell your wife you were breathing. This should be posted on the before we read the post, this should be posted on the Am I the Retard subreddit. I made a breathing noise. I did a heavy breath and told my wife it was the Age of Empires 2 New Villager sound. Just say, oh, I'm just breathing. Anyway, I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. Just over a week ago, my wife gave birth to our first child. I got called about it during work and rushed to the hospital to be with her during the labor. It was obviously a very stressful time, as it took more than 15 hours from start to the end, but finally our little one was born and was healthy, and he only took 10 grain to produce. I was in the room for nearly the entire time, other than briefly heading out for food, toilet, etc., holding her hand and being the punching bag as she swore during certain times during the worst of it. Okay, all good. Seems pretty normal. As it was getting towards the end, just as the head was coming out, and it all happened very quickly from then, more medical staff came into the room, and I'm someone who gets nervous around lots of people. I think because of that nervousness. Guys, my wife was in pain, and the gas and air was running out, and I said, "You require more Vespine gas." I think that because of that nervousness, I was talking a bit more. Introducing myself to the new people coming in, making jokes, saying I hope it's not a bad omen that the weather is so bad because a thunderstorm had started outside that we could hear. And then when our baby finally came out fully, at that second I made the Age of Empires 2 New Villager sound. As a joke. Okay. Wait. But I think only my wife understood the reference. During childbirth, your wife recognized a breathing sound as being a reference to Age of Empires, Villager Spawn. How much Age of Empires do you guys play? Like, what? But I feel like this is another post where there is an insane amount of implied context. And the look she gave me could have sunk 1,000 ships. She looked so angry, before then seeing our little one and finally smiling. But didn't look at me for about half an hour, and even then she was really annoyed for the rest of the day. Should have hit her with the Erectus. Wololo. Wololo. I thought it was a joke that went down badly in a moment of high anxiety, but my wife has twice in the past week told me that I ruined a moment that she hoped would be one of the best in her life. How is she so tuned into Age of Empires that she recognizes a breathing noise as being a reference, but not into it enough that she'd be okay with that reference being made when she gives birth? What is that period? What is that level? How many hours of playtime is that? Like 5,000? You recognize as being the reference, and you hate that that reference was made. How do you be that person who notices and not like it? I've apologized both times, but she has this look I've not seen before, something beyond disappointment. Come on, baby, stop being so angry. Wololo, just come back onto my side. Wololo. Okay. Don't, if she finally forgives you, do not go, wololo. Baby, I think we should try for another kid, and this time don't make any references. Erectus. It's really put a downer on the past 9 days of what I thought would be our happiest time together after what was obviously a very stressful time. For her mostly, of course. I know giving birth is more important, but literally just... Like, how would you even notice? On the other hand, how obnoxiously must this guy have done it? Hypothetically, for the wife to have realized that's what occurred. I don't know. I'm trying to imagine how this would occur and she'd notice. And he couldn't have gotten away with just saying, I breathed. As a joke during a high-pressure situation of my wife giving birth, at that very moment, that caused my wife significant anger at a moment when she wanted to be happy. Just as my firstborn was coming out of my wife, crawling angrily out of my wife. 2, because I potentially ruined a special moment for her, but in my defense it was unintentional. And I sometimes make bad jokes when under high anxiety. It's kind of cringe, right? That doesn't... It's not Hallmark moment anymore. Like, if she really wanted a Hallmark moment to be like the Living TV or whatever that stuff's called, those channels, it's not a Hallmark moment. I don't think it's an incredibly offensive joke. I presume he meant causing offense was unintentional? I don't know. Ruining the moment? I don't think so. Here's what I was trying to get across. For that to be burnt into her to the point where she knows exactly what it is, Age of Empires must not be alien to her. So it's not even like that game that he ignores me for or something, and he makes that noise. Like, if it was like a guy who's obsessed with a game to the point of neglecting his wife and he starts making the noises of that game while she's giving birth, right? But she recognized the sound. So, like, come on. Oh, God. Here we go. Wow, your whole post is just all about you, and I'm going to guess you are the main character in every story. Apparently, your wife loves you enough to have a child with you. And loves Age... Apparently, your wife loves Age of Empires 2 enough to recognize a reference that just sounds like breathing while giving birth. Apparently, your wife loves you enough to have a child with you, but maybe it's time to grow up and become a little more self-aware. This was not the time to try to grab the spotlight. You're the asshole. From who? Does this guy think he was trying to impress the doctor? Stop paying attention to the baby! Hey, do you guys like Age of Empires 2? I don't think there was an audience to the birth. What the heck? There was no spotlight to grab. They should have focused on... You should have been 100% focused on your wife shitting herself as the baby came out. as her gooch was cleft in twain. That's the star of the show. I don't understand how the fuck this guy wrote the last paragraph and didn't have the introspection to think, oh, that's what she meant. He clearly recognizes that her behavior now is affecting his perception. What should be a happy time without being at all self-reflective that he did the same thing, only way worse than her. He went, shh. She was exhausted. She was in pain. There was a room full of strangers watching her privates contort themselves in all sorts of ways. And she recognized the reference, even through all of that. But she'd finally reached the moment when all of that pain and embarrassment would be worth it because she would get to meet her precious little shoo. And just like that, the magic is broken. Sorry, what do you mean? You made that noise and she was unable to bond with the child. The child is just like a stranger now. You distract her. You distracted her at the key moment. And now she just... What do you mean the magic is broken? I don't like this baby anymore. Ruined. Like, what the hell? The love I have for this child I carried for 9 months and finally gave birth to loses to someone going, shh. He also did the bare minimum by being there, holding her hand and being her quote-unquote punching bag during the most difficult thing she's ever done in her life in order to bring forth his child. Yeah, because it's not hers anymore because the bond was broken by his joke. Congrats, Dad. Yeah, the quote-unquote punching bag bit was really something. That's like PG childbirth humor. There have probably been at least 500 movies that show the dad's hand being crushed or him being screamed at. That's just classic family comedy. I'm willing to bet he got his hand squeezed and his wife was snippy tops. Yeah, that's what he means by punching bag. He makes it sound like she was socking him repeatedly in the stomach. No, it's called a metaphor. He's not saying she literally treated him like he was a punching bag. Holy shit. As someone who gave birth recently, I 100% understand that she was not in the mood for your jokes after she just went through the hardest experience of her life. Okay, what if it made her laugh and that helped though? She obviously understood the reference. I think to be the asshole here, you would have to say the behavior itself is wrong regarding making the noise at all. I think you could say how he dealt with her reaction to it could make him the asshole potentially. But if the wife had had no problem with it, would he still be the asshole? Could a woman giving birth hypothetically not have a problem with that joke or even think it was funny and appreciate it? I think yes. So I don't think that would inherently make you an asshole. Unless you think making a woman giving birth laugh is a bad move. She just went through the hardest experience of her life while you just stood there and made awkward conversation with the hospital staff apparently. What did you want to, like... I feel like there's quite a limit on what you can do as the husband or boyfriend. You could start tugging, but we've seen what happens. A doctor over here literally ripped a baby's head off. Right? Like you weren't taking the birth seriously or appreciating what she was going through. I mean, he's saying he was freaking out. His explanation was that he was freaking out over what was happening. I would have been pretty upset if my husband had been cracking jokes and chatting instead of being laser focused on helping me. Why is no one talking yet about, like, how he deals with it with his wife afterwards? Because I don't think the behavior itself isn't asshole behavior. It's understandable. Maybe someone else would have wanted him to act like that even. Apparently not his wife. Could imagine it. How he deals with his wife's response to it, though, would be like the make or break for asshole. Sounds like sadly you failed to do it for her, and yes, your wife is very disappointed. Likely some trust or confidence in your ability to be there for her was broken. Birth is an extremely vulnerable moment for the birthing person, so mistakes in that moment have greater impact than they would otherwise. You should have been... You should have been watching the window for Zergling Rush. I don't know enough about Age of Empires to know, like, rush strategies, so I'm defaulting to StarCraft, okay? Imagine that joke, but with something relevant to Age of Empires. The only advice I can give is to try to double down on parenting duties and take it very seriously. You need to start microing. To make it your Age of Empires joke didn't land, you're going to have to do some micro with extremely high APM to get out of this one. Go out of your way to help her and don't crack jokes until it seems like she's in a place where she can joke again. Seemed like he was playing to the crowd. I had to look it up because I had no idea. Not the time, man, not the time. The noise is... Whoosh, whoosh. I'm sure... Hey! The noise is... Whoosh, 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 whoosh. He's an asshole, yet she undoubtedly was doing that over and over again for 15 hours. Switch the genders, bigot. reverse the genders. She can do it hundreds and hundreds of times. He does it once, he's an asshole. Ridiculous. When I gave birth, my husband was physically holding up my legs, giving me encouragement, and feeding me snack pouches and Gatorades. There's plenty a support person can do to actually support the one pushing out a baby. Is that... I've never seen a pregnant woman eat. No, sorry. I've never seen a woman eat while giving birth. Are you even allowed to? Could that... The government doesn't want you to know this, but pregnant women don't have to eat. Oh. I need to make a TikTok that's just like, have you ever seen a pregnant woman eating? I don't think they do. And yet their belly stays full. There's no room. Okay, yeah, I don't know, but it seems like a situation where one is just moral support and should stay away and let the doctors do their jobs. Maybe someday, if you ever become a parent, it will make more sense to you. Giving birth in real life is nothing like how it's portrayed in movies and TV. My husband did tug of war with me. Okay. Did OP's wife want that, though? I don't think there's a suggestion that OP was... So OP did stuff his wife didn't like. Was he not doing things she wanted, though? Because that's a very different thing. That's a whole other sentence, as they say on Twitter. Woman got shot down. They shot down a woman. Woman had wrong opinion. They don't say that on Twitter. You have not seen the tweet where it's like, oh, you post that you like waffles. So someone asks, why the hell are you hating on flapjacks? Nah, N-word. That's a whole other sentence. Or whatever it is. I mean, as a woman, I would have laughed so hard if my husband did that shoo-hoo thing. Gotta suggest it if we ever have another, lol. I would have been annoyed at the awkward conversation thing, though. Even though I know he's on the spectrum and has no clue how to react to people. But that's the thing, you've got to know your partner. Uh-oh. It's probably downvoted because they suspect this is actually a woman and not just a role-playing man. Even though I know he's on the spectrum and has no clue how to react to people. Yo, this is sick. This person is insulting everyone in the thread. And saying, like, OP, you're autistic. Honestly, I don't get why people make such a big deal out of birth. Oh, snap. Yes, it has oh god, it has the potential to go wrong like any major medical event, but assuming all goes smooth, it's mostly just annoying and uncomfortable. You're basically pooping out a watermelon. Where did your baby come out? It's not exactly dignified, but it seems like everyone online makes a huge deal out of it. I've done it 4 times, and I still don't get the fuss. This is a breeder. This is either someone who's lying or a breeder. There are those women who just have like 100 kids, and they're like, yeah, no biggie. That is a thing. I've seen it. By fuss, I mean people saying things like best moment of my life or having those extensive birthing experience plans. There's nothing magical about labor and birth. If everyone comes out whole and healthy, that's all that matters. I imagine as well... Oh, and Zara, you can comment on this. I imagine your perspective on it changes the more you have as well. Right? Because it's got to be scary as hell the first time. And then you come up to your second with having done it once. And then you have 2 under your belt. So the third one's like, that's going to be very different. I'm glad your births were nothing more than annoying and uncomfortable, but people treat it like a big deal because it is a big deal to a lot of people. It's painful, it's exhausting. Right, unless you think the person you're responding to is lying, they know they've had 4 kids. It's an incredibly vulnerable time. It can be scary. You can be scared for yourself and for your baby. It is completely upending your life as you know it. I mean, even when it's going great, it's still majorly sack. Let's not minimize the feelings of presumably millions of people because yours was a walk in the park. Yeah, but you're minimizing the feelings of everyone who is like this person. Also, OP hasn't said like his wife was in unique torment. She just didn't like the joke. Oh, this person responded and said, did I say it was a walk in the park? It's not. My first was 30 hours with ineffective pain meds whose ginormous head tore me on the way out. The birth was so painful that the stitches were nothing. And that was still an uncomplicated birth. That's exactly why I don't understand this whole fascination with making it into this glorious moment. Best moment of my life? Not hardly. Yeah, that's an interesting take. I alluded to this talking about the common experience of a woman shitting herself, maybe even having a rent gooch, and so on and so forth, and being like, oh, you're going, wee-hoo made this undignified. Like, it's pretty rough. It's not like a Hallmark movie, right? Labor isn't glamorous, birth isn't either. It's tiring and exhausting and a pain even when the meds work. I don't understand building it into this big magical moment. It's really not. It's not a party you plan. Yeah, this fire inside her. This fucking person is called fire inside her. No wonder. No wonder. That explains everything. Okay. OP made it clear that it was a matter of reverence being broken, right? The joke broke the reverence. It wasn't about him minimizing her struggle through it. Also, what is OK Dragonfly responding to? Oh, birth is... I missed this. Birth is an extremely vulnerable moment for the birthing person. Who? 2,000 points. Someone responded to that and said, Jesus Christ, is birthing person really in the common vernacular like this? Sounds about as personalized as the ketchup bottle that squeezes itself. Overbait goes, or is the inclusive language scary to you? They said it sounds impersonal. Especially when we're specifically talking about someone who just is a woman. And doesn't even say they're anything else. Presumably from OP. It's erasure of the word mother, and it's a really sad and frightening phenomenon, because if we cannot define what a woman is, how do we define what their rights are? Just canned spam. How about we give everyone equal rights, and then it won't matter? Feminist war, we're not getting involved. It's gonna be too painful. Or is it? I swear for years and years, we've been told it's an affront to have by default a term used for you that you don't prefer. Now treating everyone equally is using a term most people don't prefer and calling you a mother if you request it. Weren't we told for decades that it's harmful to not have someone by default referred to in the way that is preferable to them? It's okay to do that to normal people, does seem to be the take, yes. My favorite, more extreme version of that, hey, it's okay to incite hatred because your group isn't hated enough. How do you end up being hated or stomped on? Uppercase NTA. 40 matches. You made a dad joke as you were becoming a dad. Unbeatable argument, actually. This is perfect. This is crystallized, perfected rhetoric. The mother did it to him. She made him a dad. he did some dad comedy. It's her fault. That happened. Someday your kid will find this very funny. That's some nice perspective. Okay. Not the asshole. She needs to get a sense of humor. That situation is tough for men to be funny in. She's being a bitch. It's hard to be funny when someone's shitting out a kid. She should understand your struggle as a wannabe operating room stand-up comedian. Chill. That's too far.